images you just saw were from Poland's eastern border. This is the border it shares with its neighbor Belarus. Hundreds of migrants have gathered here. They want to enter Europe. They want to live there, but stopping them is a giant barbed wire fence and Polish security officials. And this is not a new crisis. It's been escalating since last year. This was when Belarus held its presidential election. Alexander Lukashenko, also called Europe's last dictator, became enemy number one for the European Union. So what did the EU do? It hit Belarus with successive waves of sanctions. These sanctions are crippling the Belarusian economy, but its president does not want to back down. He was already planning revenge. Lukashenko hit back where he knew it would hurt, the borders of Europe. That's what he targeted. The warning signs were visible as early as March this year. Belarus suddenly simplified its visa proceedings. This was done for West Asian nations like Iraq. Earlier, you see migrants from here, from Iraq and other countries, had to travel to Europe by sea. But now those who wanted to leave had a simpler route. All they had to do was take a flight to Belarus, and from there it was just to drive to the border. Sounds simple enough. Well, that's what the migrants were made to believe. It's as simple as that. Drive to the border, enter Europe. Many of them were lured by Belarusian travel bureaus. Middlemen offered them a passage to the EU. They sold them dreams. They sold them the hope of a better life. But what the migrants got instead was this: freezing cold, days of camping in sub-zero temperatures, dangerous terrains, razor wire fences, and hostile border guards that refused to let them in. For many of these people at the border, Poland is not even the final destination. It's just a passage. Most of them want to settle in countries like Germany, Denmark, or the Netherlands. And for Europe, the migrant crisis is a sensitive issue, a political issue. Europe wants to keep refugees away from its borders, and it depends on its neighbors for this. So Belarus is using these migrants as a pawn. What the regime is essentially saying is, remove the sanctions or deal with hundreds of stranded migrants at your border. Poland says its sovereignty is being attacked. For now, it has closed its crossing with Belarus. The Polish government called for a crisis meeting. 12,000 troops have been deployed to the border. There have even been warnings of a possible armed escalation.
We know that this is a fully planned operation, which aims to disrupt the sovereignty of our country. That's absolutely clear to us. We know for sure that there is a search for weak spots happening on the border.
As for the European Union, it has accused Lukashenko of gangster-like antics. That's the term they used for the president, gangster-like. It says that Belarus is offering migrants an easy passage to the EU.
Our aim is to bring home clearly the message to the authorities of the countries where the migrants come from, that this is a dangerous trap, that people are being lured by the regime in Minsk, and they're being brought to Belarus and pushed towards the EU borders at their own risk, and they're facing a really dangerous situation there.
Belarus, on the other hand, has denied all such claims. Lukashenko's government says it did not engineer this crisis. Instead, it blames Europe for the plight of these stranded people. Currently, 2,000 people are stranded at the border. At least 8 of them have died. They're camping just minutes away from the border. They're freezing, starving, losing hope, they say. Remember, these are migrants who left their respective countries, escaping years of war and conflict. Instead of a better future, they're stuck at the frozen frontiers of Europe as pawns in an intense geopolitical conflict.